What's going on, chicken friends? It's Donna Little from the Coop Scoop, and yesterday was a day. I am not kidding. I mean, it started from the time I got out of bed, and it went downhill from there. So let me tell you what's going on. I came out and went to do my normal thing. You know, I always get up, I let my dogs out, I feed them, I put on a pot of coffee, and I come and let the chickens out. And it's all pretty early still, and so I came out, I opened the door, and I usually will take some like fermented feed and I'll toss it out on the ground because that's one of their favorite things, and it gets them out from under my feet. So they all usually run past me and go eat their feed, and I'm able to get in and get their, water refreshed and their actual, pellets, their feed down on the ground. And I always take everything up at night if it's outside, and I get that back down on the ground, and then I usually just say, "Good morning," and I go back in and have a cup of coffee. Well, yesterday morning, I was doing my usual routine, and I literally just was walking past them and saying, "All right, girls, I'll be back out in a little bit." And I just happened to notice that Hazel was laying down. And I thought, what in the world? That's kind of strange, because everybody was just pecking around, and she was doing the same thing. She was eating. And then when she, I guess, needed to move to get a little bit more food, she was waddling. And then she took a couple steps, and then she laid back down, and I was like, oh, this is not normal. Something is definitely wrong. So when I went to pick her up, it was obvious immediately what the problem was, and she had water belly. Now, if you've never heard of water belly, and you are, well, even if you're not new to chicken keeping, I don't think it's that common. I guess if you keep chickens for many, many years, you're probably going to run across it at some point. Some people may have larger flocks, and they, lose a chicken, and they go out and just find them, that they've passed away, and they don't realize that's what it was. I tend to think that a lot of times it's in the, like, more of the meat birds or the dual purpose or high production egg layer type of birds. All it basically is fluids build up in their abdomen, and that usually is a symptom of some sort of organ issue, usually heart problem or liver or something like that. Now, last summer, I did notice because we had a lot of hot days last summer, that her comb looked really, really dark sometimes, and not really purple, but kind of almost like a little bit purple. And I thought then when I saw that, I was like, I hope she doesn't have any heart problems. Now, those breeds don't typically have a really, really long lifespan anyway, and this probably will ultimately shorten her life. But if you end up with a chicken and you are fairly new to chicken keeping, or you just haven't ever had this happen before, you end up with a chicken and you can see something's wrong and they're being lethargic, if you pick them up, you're going to feel it. It's like a water balloon, like a sac in their abdomen. So there's no doubt usually what it is. I think sometimes people go, this maybe she's egg bound or something, but it does feel different. It's very firm but squishy, and it's very distended. Well, the day before, you would have never known anything was wrong with her. She actually she's if you don't know who Hazel is, she's very spicy. And I'm her target. Like, she's not bad with the hens. She's not bad with my husband. She just likes to beat me up. And so she even had to go at me yesterday, and she was absolutely, you would have never known that there was fluid building up in her abdomen. So when I picked her up, I could immediately feel it. And I was like, okay, I don't have any needles, and I need to drain this. So let me say this before I go any further. When I have a medical crisis with my chickens, I'm not going to be picking up my camera and videotaping it. And I know a lot of people have a problem with that, and I don't really like that either. I would say video something if you're not interfering with helping your animal. Well, in her situation, it wasn't a crisis in the sense of every second counts kind of thing. So I brought her in with me, and I put her in the bathroom, and I gave her something to eat and drink. And, I went and had a cup of coffee and waited for the feed store to open. And then I went up and I got my pack of needles that I needed because, like I said, I didn't have any. Well, when I got back, I knew I was going to have to drain it then. So I thought I might as well take this opportunity to make this a little bit of a teaching moment. Now, Mark wasn't able to help me initially, and he literally only had a couple of minutes to come in there and help me with her because he had a Zoom call. So I wanted to go ahead and get it done, but she was, I don't know what it is, like this chicken literally, like she'll take me on like she's a rooster sometimes, and at the same time I've had to deal with her on several different occasions with something medical, and she is like the literal perfect patient every single time. So I put her on a towel and laid her on the kitchen counter, and I didn't videotape me putting the needle in just because I didn't have Mark in there at that second. I had to do it by myself. But then he came in and he just held her. You know, she wasn't going anywhere or anything anyway. She seemed very relaxed. And then I just had the needle in there. So then I started videotaping because he was there to have his hands on her, so I knew she wouldn't like hop up. But so I could show you what it looked like. But if you have this situation and you go online, probably the first thing you're going to read is this is fatal, and then you're going to have a heart attack because this is going to be your favorite hen, and you know, you just don't want to have to deal with that. Well, the thing is, oh, I'm sorry. I thought something was on me. The thing is, it can be managed. Will it ultimately, you know, shorten her life? Yeah, you know, it's going to, but it's not really the water belly that will, it's the heart problem that's causing the water belly. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a description because like I said, I didn't videotape the whole thing. But if you have to do this and you suspect, and you're probably going to be right if you can feel it and it feels like a big water balloon, you can either let them lay down or stand up. Either way, just locate their vent and then go down maybe 1.5 inches or so, and then over slightly to the right. Get you like maybe a 20 gauge, I have an 18 gauge needle. It's a little bit bigger than a 20 gauge. Pop it in there, maybe 1/2 inch or something, and it'll just start pouring out. And it's very, very liquidy like water, so it's not thick or anything. That needle will allow it to come out, and usually they're not even going to react to it. They're just going to stay in there. So I pulled some out in a syringe, and then Mark had to, I was going to keep doing that just to make it go faster, but he had to go do a Zoom call. So I just took the, you know, syringe off and just let the needle stay in there. And I drained it into a measuring cup so I could kind of see how much was in there. And I pulled about a cup out of her, drained about a cup out of her. So it probably took about, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes or so. So once that needle comes out, you just pull it out. They're going to continue to drain. So if you, hey girls, so if you want to leave them in the house somewhere, just be aware, you know, you're going to walk in and there's going to be, you know, make sure you put something down on the ground. She was actually still draining a little bit, and it's just slowly dripping out this morning. So that's good. She feels back to herself. She is all good. The thing is with this, if you have to do it, once you do it, you realize like this is no big deal. It really isn't. You're going to probably have to do it over and over again, maybe every 2 or 3 months, until, you know, they ultimately succumb to whatever is causing the water belly. This is going to probably buy her a good bit of time. I mean, she acts like nothing ever happened. So I'm going to show you that quick little clip, though, of her laying there on the kitchen counter, and you can see the liquid coming out of her. So right now we have a needle in, and it is slowly draining. Hopefully you can see that. And you just want to put the needle in. Her vent is up here, maybe about 1.5 inches below the vent, and over to the right a little bit. And we're just going to let that drain. I've already drawn some out, but I couldn't videotape it because I had my hands full. But Mark is in here holding her now. But this is going to relieve that pressure. She's going to feel so much better. And this is just something that's going to keep happening. And we'll have to, you know, wait till we see signs that she needs it drained again. But this will keep the pressure off of her organs. Okay, so we averted that crisis. It didn't take any time at all. I did put her back in the bathroom for a little while, and just so I could monitor her. And she did still seem a little bit, you know, tired from it. So after a few hours, she was back to normal, and I brought her back outside. So I was in and out of the house during all of that. Well, I'm working on a project, and so I was about to go paint, and I came out, and I heard a little something in the coop, and everybody was laying. Like, chickens were cackling, they were going crazy and everything. And so I have a handful of hens that have always laid inside the coop. And if you watch my channel, you know I've got some nest boxes outside of the coop under the covered area. And most of the hens love those nest boxes. But I've got a handful of hens that just have never come out there and laid. Opal is one of them. My Orpingtons, my lavender Orpingtons, like to lay inside. Charlotte a lot of times will lay inside. And then a couple of the pullets like to lay in there. And Winnie is always one of the ones that lays inside. Now, Opal has become, over time, she is one of my Jersey Giants, pretty bossy. And every now and then she almost acts like Caroline, my black copper Moran, who is chasing somebody right now. And she can be a little bit of a bully. So I'm coming outside to gather the things that I need to start working on my project. And I heard like a little squawk and a little something go on, and a few chickens came running out of the coop. And I just thought somebody jumped in somebody's nest box and, you know, whatever. And I saw, probably about 15 feet away from me, some of the chickens, 3 of the chickens were just all of a sudden standing around Winnie. Now she came out, I saw her come out of there, and she just was walking like, you know, like she was going to come toward me. And 3 of the chickens came and sort of surrounded her, and they were just lightly pecking at her face. And they'll do that if, like, there's a broken egg or something and somebody gets egg yolk on their mouth. You know, you'll see the other chickens come and they'll, like, be cleaning their face up. And I was like, what? And I thought, what in the world does she have on her face that they're all, like, cleaning up? And then I took a closer look, and her entire head was covered in blood. This is when I'm not going to be picking up a camera. I was like, I have no idea what happened and why she is profusely bleeding, but we got to handle this right now. So once again, you know, thank goodness I have friendly chickens. I was able to just scoop her up. I mean, she's just dripping blood. I couldn't even tell where she was injured from. I had no idea, like, what was going on. So I got her in and I put her in the bathroom. Thank goodness the other patient had exited the bathroom. And I just, listen, if you've ever had to try and clean up a chicken's head, the head's never still. It never stops moving. And she's bobbing and weaving and trying to get away from me and ducking. And I'm like, I just need to see where the injury is and what is going on. So ultimately, after looking and, you know, wrestling with her a little bit, I had to just let her sit on my lap, and it's just dripping. You know, I've got a towel over my lap, and it was just, she has a cut at the very back of her comb. Now, I don't know if Opal wanted that nest box or was already in that nest box and grabbed her by the comb and it just ripped it a little bit. It's not really a bad injury, but it's like with a dog's ears or something. Every time I would think I got it kind of like stopped bleeding, she would shake her head and it would start again. So I couldn't put her back outside. She's been in the bathroom. She's outside right now, but I'll tell you where she's at. But I had her in because I knew the chickens would just continue to peck at her and then they would injure her further. This, I mean, it just sort of really becomes an issue, and they can see the blood and they can smell the blood, and they are very attracted to that. So if you ever have a chicken with an injury like that, you really need to separate them because your chickens will make it worse. So I was fortunate enough to be there when it happened, but I went back into my bathroom. I should have taken a picture of it. It literally looked like a crime scene. She had been shaking her head, and I thought I had it stopped. Only thing I had was some cornstarch, and I guess every time she would shake her head, and I actually went to get some of the what is it called, Quick Stop or something like that, and they were out of it, so I didn't have a choice but to use cornstarch. It was on the walls. It was splashed all the way up onto the mirror. It was on the counter. It was on the toilet. It literally looked like I had murdered somebody in the bathroom. So finally, after a few hours, I was able to get the bleeding to stop, but I can't put her out with her little buddies even today. And poor little thing, she was so distressed being in the bathroom. And I was like, I can't even give you an emotional support chicken in here because she'll pick on you. And, you know, I didn't know if it would even matter if I brought somebody in, like once it got dark enough, because there is a window in there, and I did hang a blanket up, but you can still see a little bit of light. She was not happy being in there. She wanted to be out with her flock, and I couldn't let that happen. So this morning when we got up, it hadn't bled anymore, and I just sat in there and spent probably about 15 or 20 minutes very gently wiping her head and trying to get the blood off of it, because it's all dried on there. And if you've ever had to get blood off of feathers, it is like glue. So I still don't have it all off. It's down in the creases of her, you know, nostrils and stuff, and I still don't have it all off. So I don't want her out here with the rest of the girls. But I thought, she's going to probably lay an egg today. And because she's already so distressed about being in the house, so I opened the bathroom door, and she is not like, I mean, if you know my chickens at all, you know, like Maisie, she's like all over the house. She'll come in and be like, yeah, I own the whole place. She's not like that. So she did come out of the bathroom, and she just stood in front of the bathroom door and was like, I can't go. I don't know where I'm at. Like, I can't wander around this place. So she did just go back in the bathroom. But I gave, you know, while I was doing a few things this morning, I gave her the opportunity just for me to talk to her, you know, and like, you can come out if you want to. But I did spoil her a little bit while she was in there. And then I went ahead and I just ran some X pins and fenced her off the little side area of the yard. So she's out here. And the first probably 30 minutes, she was very distressed that she could not get to the rest of the flock. But I threw her some treats over there. And so she's been over there very quiet all day. But about an hour, and I was working on the project, and about an hour after I put her out there, she started acting really distressed again. And I thought, I bet she's got to lay an egg. So I just routed the X pin to the coop door and shut everybody out. And she went in, and I mean, she laid that egg in about 5 minutes, and she was done and out. So she's still out right now. She's over in the yard. It doesn't look bad at all. I think if I can get all of that blood cleaned off of her, and, you know, where there's nothing aside from her comb that looks red, I might be able to bring her back out tomorrow. She's going to come back in tonight, and we'll see. But if anybody touches it, she's going to have to go back in and stay separated until it heals, because I don't want them to end up making it worse. But there's more. So after having her in, doctoring her to the best of my ability yesterday evening, came back out. It was almost time to, you know, put everybody up for the evening. And I noticed Grace, who is my biggest hen, was pretty significantly limping. And I literally just looked at her and went, girl, I mean, like, what? I do not have any room in the inn. Like, I cannot put a chicken in. No, what is wrong with your leg or your foot or whatever? So she is a little bit of a touch-me-not, but I was able to pick her up. I got a good look at her feet. Her feet are absolutely fine. I'm going to turn this a little bit because the sun is getting right in my eyeballs. So I did get a good look at her feet. Her feet look perfectly fine. So I don't know if she sprained her ankle. She is a very heavy chicken. I mean, I wouldn't hesitate to say she might be about 8 pounds. So she might have, you know, just injured a little bit jumping down off of something. But I haven't done anything for her. It seems a little bit better today. I'm just going to let it go. But I mean, by the time the day ended yesterday, I came in the house and I said, well, Grace is limping now. And Mark was like, what in the world? I was like, I don't know. What have I done to deserve this? But she seems to be doing a little bit better. She's still limping, but it seems a little bit better. Hazel, right as rain for the moment. And little Miss Winnie is also doing good. So I'll show you guys both of them in just a second. I think it might be Hazel walking around behind me. But they're doing okay right now, and we're just going to manage Hazel's issue as it comes back up again. But hopefully this will be a little bit informative to you and not maybe amusing, but we're just going to hope for smoother sailing from here forward because I do not need another day like yesterday. But I hope you guys are enjoying our content. And if you are, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss anything, because I'm probably going to be able to show you a little video of this project that I've been working on in the next few days, maybe next week. We'll see. Anyway, how far I get along on it. But have a fantastic day, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Here's my sweet little girl over here by herself. I feel so bad. I know she just wants to go hang out with her buddies, but she has been very calm, and as you can see, it doesn't look bad. I know if I walk up to her, she's probably going to get up and walk away. So I'm a few feet away from her, but I think if I can get that good and cleaned up, because what you're seeing is just still the blood stuck to her feathers, but not too bad. But she seems to be perfectly fine, doing well. I got it good and, cleaned up as far as like germy and all that good stuff. But hopefully we'll be able to get her back with her friends here soon. So there's Miss Hazel right there, and she's just doing fine, hanging out. She just had some blueberries with the rest of the girls and does not seem to be fazed by what happened yesterday at all.